Well, hi, my friends. So, nothing new to report on as far as news goes, really, just same old, same old. And I'm really sick of hearing about Hillary and all of her excuses and everything. I'm sorry, you're just not going to be president. Anyway, all right. So, we are in Zachariah chapter 12, and I'll just get into it. Please bring the Lord into your space as you hear his word so he could work through you and that he can inspire you and the Holy Spirit can work in you and so that you he could work with you where you're at this time. Okay. The burden of the word of the Lord of Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens and layeth the foundations of the earth, and formed the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people around about, and when they shall be in siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces. All the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every house with astonishment, and his rider with madness. And I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts their God. In that day will I make the governor of Judah like the hearth of a fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in the sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about on the right and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. The Lord shall also save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. And in that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem. He that is feeble among them, that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour upon them the house of David, upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the spirit of grace and supplications, and they shall look upon me, whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in the bitterness of him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadaradrimmon in the valley of Megiddo. And in the land shall mourn every family apart, family of the house of David apart, their wives apart, families of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, and the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, the family of Shemeli apart, and their wives apart, families that remained, every family apart, and their wives apart. Chapter 13. In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Sin for the uncleanliness. It shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I shall cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. And it shall come to pass that when they shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of the Lord. And his father and his mother that begat him shall trust him through when he prophesies. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed, every one of his visions, when he hath prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am a husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. And one shall say unto him, What are these wounds in thy hands? And he shall answer, Those which I have wounded in the house of my friends. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn mine hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I shall bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call upon my name, and I shall hear them, and I will say, It is my people, and they shall say, The Lord is my God. Chapter 14. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the cities shall be taken, the houses rifled, the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth in captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, and when he fought in the day of battle, his feet shall stand on the day on the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, half of it towards the south, and ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azel, yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them towards the former sea, and half of them towards the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. Won't that be a glorious day? And all the land shall be turned as a plain, from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up, and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, and the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananeel unto the kingdom winepresses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And all of this shall be plagued within. The Lord shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongues shall be consumed away in their mouth. And that's the end of Zachariah. And we are in the book of Malachi. Oh, wait, I'm mistaken. Sorry, hang on one second. That was verse 12, verse 13. Sorry, I'm not done. And it shall come to pass in the day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. They shall lay hold every one of the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of the neighbor. Judah shall also fight at Jerusalem. The wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, camel, the ass, all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations shall come against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and keep the feast of tabernacles. And it shall be that whosoever will not come up all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherein the Lord will smite the heathen, come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations, come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. In the day shall there be upon the bells of horses holiness unto the Lord, and the pots in the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and Judah shall be holiness unto the Lord of hosts, and all that sacrifice shall come and take them, and see therein in that day that there shall be no more Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. Okay, that's the end of it. So we're in the book of Malachi, and as you know, I always like to do a little summary of the books. And a lot of people believe that what I just read has already happened, that it happened spiritually, okay? Not literally happened, but it already happened spiritually. And Swedenborg talks about that. So if you want to, read about that, or see a video off the left eye, where he's spiritually able to actually see angels and so forth. He explains about that, okay? The book of Malachi, there's nothing known about the prophet's life except what's found in this book. He was probably a contemporary of Nehemiah, and the conditions described in the prophecy best answer to that timeline. So the style is very forceful and particular. Jehovah is represented as having a dialogue with his people. In one verse says, yea, say, in contrast with thus saith Jehovah of hosts, through the first three chapters. So instead of thus says Jehovah the host, it says yea, say. Okay, so a graphic picture of the closing period of the Old Testament history, showing that the great reforms were needed to prepare the way for the coming Messiah. Dark side of the picture, robbing God, social sins. The light side of the picture is glorious promises. And then the choice selections are the purifying messenger, the cataract of blessings, and God's jewels. So, and then we are in the book of Matthew. And so Malachi, chapter 1, is talks about God, and Malachi complains of Israel's ingratitude and irreligiousness and profaneness. Okay, so it's why the Lord, destroyed the temple when He did, or allowed it to be destroyed. Yeah, so I'm not going to read it. I'll read it, in the next video, which I won't have time to do today. We'll do that tomorrow. So I hope you have a blessed Tuesday again. And I'm off. So I love you guys. Have a great day. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe only if you like it. And I'd love to hear from you. You guys know that. Okay, bye-bye.